Invite Hanna Starostenko, Deputy Head of Kyiv State City Administration, and Oksana Makarenko, Head of the NGO Batkyivskyi Committee, Parents Committee. Good afternoon, esteemed colleagues. I'm Starostenko Hanna. I'm the Deputy Head of Kyiv State City Administration on humanitarian issues. Today we'll be talking about secondary education reform in Kyiv. We all understand that our country requires reforms, and the educational sector is no exclusion. Third part of Kyivites are involved into the system of education in Kyiv, and they are waiting for qualitative changes. But we can ensure them only when we develop our new joint action program of actions. The program which is in place now, we analyzed it and we understand that it does not correspond the requirements of today, and it probably will not be implemented. So now we are starting our work on the new program of the development of education in Kyiv. What are our tasks? The main thing in the new program should be national education, upbringing of people. That is what our society requires and what Kyivites are expecting from us. We are suggesting certain measures which will be implemented in the primary school, in the educational establishments which are outside school. But for us, for civil servants, the patriotism is expressed in more efficient use of the resources that we have, especially monetary resources. We live according to the new rules of game. For the first time, the education in Kyiv is financed from the educational subvention, but this is insufficient to ensure the financing of the educational sector of Kyiv. The educational budget of Kyiv is more than 5 billion hryvnias. The educational subvention is little more than 3 billion. To more efficiently use this money, we have the task to understand what is the financial educational standard, what is guaranteed by the Constitution of Ukraine when we are talking about free of charge education, because the money that the state gives us is not enough. Where to get the money from? There are several options. First, we need to more efficiently use this spend money. We need to enhance the public control over the use of the money we have, attract some additional money. And we are openly saying that our social partners, our investors into education are parents. We shouldn't close eyes to the fact that for many years in Kyiv and in many other cities, the education was co-financed by parents. I believe Oksana will talk about that in more detail, because the parents are to control funds, but we have to help them in that. Our next task is how, for the money that we have, to do more. The priority for several next years is to ensure also energy efficiency. We'll be changing the roofs, we'll be heating, we'll be making schools warmer, we'll be replacing the windows, we'll be more careful about the use of energy resources. In fact, this educational year we suggested a new approach to organization of holidays, and that was caused by the necessity to save money. And because the winter and autumn holidays were prolonged, the city managed to save 30 million hryvnias. So we suggest to teachers, to parents, to continue that during spring holidays, and we recommend to have the holidays from the 23rd of March till the 4th of April. So this will be one additional week, which will help us to save about 12 million hryvnias. Food, meals. When we are saying that we don't have a financial educational standard, we mean that we do not understand how we can provide free of charge meals for the first, fourth classes, thanks to the instruction given by our mayor Klitschko. We found the money to provide meals for the first, fourth classes, but we understand how the prices went up. But now our issue number one is to provide high quality meals, and also so that the money that we have are not wasted. And we suggest a new approach of providing hot breakfasts for children. We have recommendational menu in all districts of Kyiv for 2 weeks. These are not hot lunches, but hot breakfasts. As the resolution of the Cabinet of Ministers says, the resolution that regulates meals for children. We introduced new method of procurement of food products to spend the money more efficiently. Now we're introducing the procurement of food products according to framework agreements. So that means that the city will be organizing tenders for procurement of food products, will define several winners, and then the districts will be able to sign contracts with the winners of these tenders. When we have bigger volumes, we will be dealing not with intermediaries but with the producers of the products, and this way the price will be reduced, and we will get partners of better quality, and these partners will provide food products to kindergartens. Another issue is creating new places in kindergartens, because this is what concerns Kyivites, because from the 1st of September of 2014, the number of children in Kyiv increased by 11,000 because of those children who moved from the ATO zone and from Crimea. And we have to provide places in kindergartens and in schools for them. If the Kyivites if we have no problem with the places in the schools for Kyivites, but we do have problem with the places in kindergartens. We are planning to open 3 new kindergartens, open another school, and repair some schools. But what I would like to say that first of all, to ensure a more efficient use of resources in the system of education, to improve the quality of services provided to school pupils, we have to overcome corruption. That is the main problem which hampers all the reforms, including educational reform. For more than half a year, our team has started an active fight with corruptionists in schools. You've probably heard about what's happening now. There are many unhappy people. We go with inspections, they say. We interfere in how the parents' money is used, but we have cases when directors of schools violate legislation, and we submitted some cases to prosecutor's office when the director of the school opens an account for his name, and the parents' money are accumulated on this account. There are directors who who collect money in cash, and that's also a violation. There are schools where there are some sports schools operating on the territory of school, and the money is collected from parents, and the directors of schools close their eyes to these facts. But there are some people who are fighting for their places, for their positions, because that's an issue for them to get richer. But the parents who are our social partners, who are helping us not just support and develop educational sector, but they help us fight corruption. And I would like to give the floor now to Oksana Makarenko. Good morning, I am Oksana Makarenko. I am from the NGO Parents Control. We started the first fighting with these textbooks with mistakes which were printed in huge numbers and were distributed in schools, and during Tabachnik we could not even talk about that. The parents have to give a child to the system of education and think about nothing then, maybe to help the child with the home task and bring money to the school, because the schools are underfinanced. It's not because of the war now, but that is a chronic problem that we have had for many years. And parents are used that there's no such thing as absolutely free of charge education. They have to give money all the time and not ask any questions, because those who ask questions, the system presses on them, presses on the child, that it's dangerous for a child to ask some inconvenient questions to the system. Now the system has changed. The reforms which were declared and which are directed towards decentralization, they are being implemented. We have quite a progressive law on higher education in spring, and there will be the law on secondary education presented in the parliament. But we understand that decentralization is a very complicated process, and the society, people are to get ready for that. When you are given powers, you are given the responsibility. And my experience demonstrates that the society now is ready to that more than before, but the parents' community is getting ready to that.
For over a year, I still had a disappointment that more than half of the parents are not interested. And what Hanna was talking about is that they do collect money or give money to the director, and director has to find this to compensate for the lack of financing that is there in school. But parents are not interested whether this money is used efficiently or not. And we cannot agree the balance and see at the level of a school how much was given by the state and how much was collected by parents. When we started to look into this, we saw some horrible things, like they were collecting money for Botox for teachers rest abroad, and they were collecting money in cash into some boxes, and they were just making notes of where the money did go. They were treating this money as if it was in their own pockets. Of course, not all the directors treated the money like this, but the only way to fight this is transparency of this money. There is still no legislation that would allow, as this was in Georgia, that would allow the principle money follows children. Although this is present in many countries, when the money allocated goes after a kid, not just for the system of education, but specifically for a child. And then parents do understand whether they want to give some money or the amount of services provided by the state will be enough. At the moment, we don't see this system, and we see corruption because our legislation has not been put to order. On the one hand, education is as if free, and we do not need to pay anything for this. On the other hand, there are pockets of parents and of officials. And this happens in every sphere. And, there are private schools where there are beautiful technologies and beautiful educational programs that we would like to see in our state-owned schools. But for most parents, this is too expensive at the moment, and they still have to face the state-run system of education. 10% of parents are ready to fight for the improvement of quality, for transparency of their money. They do find time to control this, and we are following statistics. We are compiling statistics. The situation in Kyiv has improved twofold. If previously we had 10% of such fund, now we have 20%, but 80% is still unaccounted for. And at the moment, there's a suggestion that this money should be collected at the district level. I say that parents are going to be categorically against this because they are not prepared at the moment to finance the system of education in general and to level what the state does not provide. They are ready to help their own school with specific things. If the rules are changed, if some supervisory board is introduced at the level of a school, and if there are special accounts that go to school, then yes. Why am I dwelling on this in such detail? Because this relates not only to feeding the kids, not only to catering. A lot of authority has been given to individual schools, and because the law on decentralization is not put to order yet, then the city does not have enough money, same as the state. And more expenditure is shifted to parents' shoulders. And of course, there's a crisis not only in this entire state, but also in the pockets of parents. And when in autumn they come to school and calculate how much money they have to give, then there will be a shock, because the textbooks at the moment, they are deciding whether the ministry is in the process of deciding who will finance the textbooks. Previously, it was the responsibility of the state, and there was a corruption component. In this, I have the auditing chamber reports, and they have found violations to the tune of 26 million when the money allocated for the textbooks went to officials' pockets. Let's switch to questions and answers. Your answers, colleagues, and please introduce yourself when you're asking the question. Oksana Mitnitska, Ukrainian Crisis Media Center. I have two questions. First, could you tell us whether this Samopomich initiative on the creation of charity foundation at the district level, what is the probability that MPs will support, or Kyiv councillors will support this initiative, and what the results are going to be if this is adopted? And the second question is it possible that individual councillors or your professional community were talking about this? Is it possible that the money that parents spend as charity contributions, is it possible to make it a tax credit, like this is done in many countries, a social benefit, Are you talking about this, and are you going to initiate this as activists of this movement? Yes, this was the initiative of the head of the Standing Commission on Education, Natalia Shulga. In fact, Only during the presentation I got to know about the details of this proposal. I'll be frank, we cannot adopt such decisions at the level of Kyiv City Council. This can be only as a recommendation, and at present these statutes, they are there already, and any charity foundation that is into educational problems, they have supervisory boards and they have their own accounts, and they can get a tax credit if they are contributing on charity foundation. This is to be decided by parents' committees. Ms. Shulga's proposal, and the authority not impose any suggestion and any way of action on parents. We will control the administration of schools so that they work within the legal framework. At the moment, we are in favor of creating these funds in order to make this money transparent and at least calculate where this money goes. Their own accounts, they're being financed by district agencies for education. Due to Hanna and other people do take steps towards transparency, they have created a site. We cannot make the districts to do this. And of course, when such a foundation is created at the district level, money goes nowhere. The law, and then, according to the law, to reform the education organization at the level of a city, whether this will be district level foundations or funds at the level of schools. We should not make haste here, because we'll get into hell. And the situation is very tense now when people are counting every kopic, and this can provoke a wave of dissatisfaction. 1+1 television channel. I have two questions. I wanted to ask about vacations. These are the second additional vacations in Kyiv, and I wonder whether the academic year will be prolonged and how kids will cope with the rather complicated school programs. And also quarantine in schools. How many schools are closed because of epidemic? First, vacations. We are suggesting that from the 23rd of March till the 4th of April, there will be 2 weeks of spring vacations. And now we are studying the opinion of teachers and parents about the prolongation of studies in June for 2 weeks. We are studying this issue, and we are ready if the parents and teachers are ready. And of course, this is very closely linked to the question about the quarantine on the city level. Since last Friday, we have 15 schools on quarantine where the threshold of illnesses of children has gone over 30%. So at the recommendation of the sanitary and epidemiological service, we have closed these schools down. We still have time until the end of the week, and I do hope that we won't have quarantine. But if there will be such recommendations, we'll have to do this. Follow the information. We will keep you informed. Any other questions? Alexandra Semenova, my nephew goes to Gymnasium 107. You know a bit about this gymnasium, Hanna, and please, using this gymnasium as an example, what advice do you have for parents who have gone over a very complicated way, the way of inspection at the request of parents, and the inspection was held by the Department for Education, and they found a lot of violations. But at the level of a district, this situation is stopped now. What do we have to do? Yes, you mentioned your gymnasium, but we have a lot of such gymnasiums in different districts, and the algorithm is like this. First of all, the parents should initiate inspection. If they see illegal actions of school authorities, they address the mayor, they address me, they address the head of the Department of Education, and as law says, we are obliged to go and inspect the situation in situ. We did go to many schools in Kyiv, and I must tell you that out of all the complaints from the citizens, 1/4 is about some illegal actions taking place in schools. We went to school number 107 and other schools, and taking results from these inspections, we do find facts of violations of legislation, and we then informed the administration of the school, and we set the term within which these violations have to be removed. If they are not, if they are still there, then the official, the school worker, the teacher or director is dismissed. Right now, we have a session of the commission at the Kyiv City Council where they are looking into the case of school number 107, and we will think about what to do there, because there may be a dismissal. But I'll tell you honestly, the first school directors, when we saw that they did violate the law, we have dismissed them in September last year, but they are still on sick leave, or they are appealing in courts, they are being restored through the courts. We have a fact in Holosivsky district when a director was reinstalled in his job because of the Court of Appeal, where the judge was one of the parents from this school and his lawyer was one of the parents from these schools. We have to play collectively here, and law enforcers should play on our side, and the prosecutor's office as well. But as you see, it does not move so far. Only with your help. If you see facts, every day you go to school, if you see that the violations are still there, we'll go on another inspections. I will add only one thing, that one of my disappointments is that at the moment the parents' community is not united. Some do want transparency and quality, and some think, let it be as it is. We should not take this up. More than that, they do defend some directors who take their money and they spend it for their own needs, and they say, no, we want everything to stay as it is. We do not want change. And in some schools, there's almost war between different groups of parents. And more people who are waking up and who start to fight for their rights. But of course there's still a lot of those who do not want to change anything. And another thing is that in the education system among the parents, they are more talking about quantity and amount of money, how to pay, how much to pay, where to study, and they are not very much interested in the quality of education and what a child will do later in their life. Because we should start the reform of education from answering the question, what's the purpose of this education, whether it will find a demand in the modern world. And this is the task of us as parents, to provide them with a education that will help them compete and adapt in this world, not just to implement the law and to provide kids with free education. Thank you very much.